15 Remembrance bosses with their own weapon. No intro needed, here we go. First up on my list was Godrick the Grafted. His Remembrance weapons are Axe of Godrick and Grafted Dragon. I actually wanted to have a little bit of a challenge, so I went with the Dragon. I do have to get at least one hit in with both weapons to make the kill actually count though, so I'll have to put the Axe in second slot. Before I went in, I decided my boy needed some drip, so I went with the Godrick set to fit the theme because Godrick doesn't even have his own armor. After that prep work, it was time to fight our first boss. Since I never used the Dragon Hand before, I decided to try out the Ash of War. Yeah, piddly. I figured out that if you just hold R2, it'll do a crap ton of damage and break his poise, so that was my phase 1 strategy. Phase 2 was basically identical, just hold R2 over and over until poise break. I almost had him dead, then I realized that I needed to use the axe too. One jump later, and it was over for the Lord of all that is golden. Godrick was definitely the easiest one on this list, so don't click off because of that. Trust me, the bosses get a lot more challenging. Anyway, there isn't anything else to say in this section, so let's move on to the next one. Rennala. I want to go curl up in a ball and cry. Her weapons are Carrion Regal Scepter and Rennala's Full Moon. I'm also using Comet Azure because she gets to use it, so I can too. You're probably like, old boy C, those are some really good sorceries. Why do you want to curl up and cry? And the answer to that, my friends, is this. As you can see, she is heavily immune to magic. No matter what I tried, I would always run out of FP in phase 2. An idea struck my brilliant mind though. What if we used a physic to try to get infinite Comet Azure? Well, it worked, but only for about half the first phase's health. I realized that I could do it if I just had a lot more Cruellian tears, so that's what I did. 11 magic, 3 for healing. Awesome. First phase was a cakewalk, just annihilate her with the old beam team. In second phase, she was impossible to hit with that, so I just switched to Full Moon where we did some okay damage. From there it was just patience, dodge a lot and get a Full Moon off wherever you can. It got really boring, but I did it. Yay. I would say it is definitely possible to beat her with your own weapons, but you're gonna have to come back late game. You need all the flasks you can get. With this monster fight out of the way, it's time to move on to one of my favorite bosses. I decided to diverge off the path a little bit and take part in a festival. The Radagon Festival. Dun dun dun. The weapons I'm using are the good old Lion's Great Bow and the Starscourge Greatsword. I've never actually used the Great Bow before, so I decided I should challenge myself to use that for one half of the fight. It didn't go well. Turns out weapons with long charge-up speeds are bad against Radagon's fast swings. Who would have guessed? After trying for a good 20 minutes, I finally made it past phase 1. I was feeling pretty proud of myself. Then I died, with one hit left. Oh! My next attempt went a lot better. Breezed through phase 1, some close calls in phase 2, and it was over. I never want to fight Radahn again. While I could have taken on Regal Ancestor a lot later, I just decided to do it now so he wouldn't have to deal with it. This one's interesting because there's only one weapon, the Winged Greathorn. The other thing you get is the Ancestral Spirit's Horn, which gives you 3 FP every time you kill an enemy. Let's go! That's really gonna help us, yeah! This is typically a one-sided fight, and this little challenge of mine was no different. Right off the bat, we were taking fat chunks out of that health bar. I mean, that number's even bigger than my blood sugar level, and trust me, that's no easy feat. I kinda forgot he gets to heal, so I was thrown for a little loop there. Luckily for me though, I was able to just sit back and deal as much damage as possible. Overall, easy fight, extreme difference, moving on. We can't really access the other Remembrance bosses without first beating Morgott, so that's where I went. This is another case where there's only one weapon, Morgott's Cursed Sword. The other thing we get is the Regal Omen Baron, which is one of the worst things in the game. I do not care what you say. Anyway, we still do damage with it, so we do have to incorporate it. The fight started off pretty generic. We did some okay damage, popped the Regal Omen, and we were rolling. I felt like the fight was going pretty normally, almost too normally. Everything seemed okay, right up until the end, where we killed each other. Then I spawned back into the arena, which I guess has something to do with an event there. Anyway, I hope you didn't fall asleep there because we have some bangers coming up. Like Fire Giant. This was not a banger for me, but you guys will sit there and kick your feet giggling, so have fun. The things we're using are the Giant's Red Braid and Burn of Flying. I equipped a seal so we could actually use the incantation and hopped into battle for 1 hour, 12 minutes, and 4 seconds. I'm not joking, I had to record for that long. The file itself takes up 16 gigabytes on my PC. I hate this fight. I got knocked off my horse every single time he did that stupid little shield upper. I made it right there at 25 minutes in and I figured, oh, I should be a couple attempts away. This sucked. I hated it. I had to sit in my little cave up here for that long. I'm not going to talk about how much my mental state has tanked anymore though, so let's just get this fight finished. I got the fire incantation off and did some damage, so I switched back to the whip and flailed this dude to the ground. I'll tell you though, that dopamine release I got after beating this guy was otherworldly. Like, not gonna lie, I probably emitted a small EMP wave. We have finally beat this dude though, so I think it's time to pay my boy Big M a visit. Maliketh is a boss, that's what I'll say. The weapons we're using are Maliketh's Black Blade and Black Blade, the incantation. Big Sword just absolutely carried through the first phase, which I was pretty happy about. I always sucked at the second phase though, and yeah. I guess no matter what weapons I use, I can't hide how much of a filthy casual I am. Luckily for me, I didn't spend an hour on this one. I guess the Golden Order was on my side today. I did use the incantation before you asked, and surprisingly, it actually dealt destined death damage. This surprised me because he's the death dude, but you know, I'll take it. After a little bit, I decided to lock in and beat him pretty quickly, so yeah, awesome sauce. We could have gone for Godfrey and Elden Beast, but this video's every Remembrance boss. So let's go to Lichdragon using Fortisax's Lightning Spear and Death Lightning. 2 incantations. Awesome. I'm going to take a page out of the Rennala book and get 10 flasks of Corellian Tears because I do not want to run out. I started off the fight thinking the Lightning Spear would cook. It did not. Death Lightning on the other hand was yielding way better damage, so I just cozied up in the inner thigh and annihilated the RB button on my controller. After a good solid 5 minutes of this, the big dragon toppled and my little dude was bathed in the beast blood. Another W for Elden Bilson! Rykard was a hurdle to say the least. As you know, this boss is a gimmick that you use the serpent spear thing on. We don't get to use that though, we get to use Blasphemous Blade and Rykard's Rancor. The Rancor did nothing, which is just a trend at this point, the secondary weapon doing no damage at all. The blade, on the other hand, was doing some surprisingly mediocre damage, so I guess I know what I'm spamming now. A little later into the battle, I realized that I still needed to fight Together Man. So... he gets a big sword, so, you know, shiver me timbers. Just kidding, I'm a dodging champ, so it was easy. Same strategy, you know how it is, easy dubs. I forgot to hit up Placidusax, so I called up my boy.
Yo, you awake, bro?
Yeah, he was still sleeping. I don't take that disrespect. In fact, he's not my friend anymore. Let's go beat the crap out of him, using Dragon King's Cragblade and Placidusax's Ruin, for anyone wondering. Placidusax's Ruin was doing some pretty respectable damage, so we could viably use this. Cragblade also did some damage, so this will be one of the few fights I actually do alright on. Surprising, huh? For once I can't yap anymore, so I'll just move on to the next one. Maybe I should go back to the Dragonlord because we're fighting Malenia, my arch nemesis. See, we only get to use the Hand of Malenia and Scarlet Aeonia. Those are both good things, so it shouldn't be hard, right? Wrong. I've only ever beaten her using Rivers of Blood. Call me a casual, but it's true. Throughout my time with this boss, I did develop a strategy. Pop the Scarlet Aeonia until she's rotted, then sit back and spam Waterfowl Dance until second phase. Turns out the final hit of that sends her to the ground too. So how does it feel to have that used against you, Oh crap, I almost forgot my joke. I am Malenia, Blade of Miquella. Ha 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 ha. Anyway, she used my own attack against me, which wasn't fair, but overall, I still cooked. Go ahead, give me your money. 4 bosses left. Your attention span's got this, trust me. I decided I should try to beat Astel. Now, this is a cool one. There's an Ash of War, Waves of Darkness, and a Flail, Bastard Stars. I started the fight just hitting his head with the stars thing, and we did some absolutely incredible damage, so that was pretty cool. Closer to the end of the fight, I used the Ash of War, and Jesus Christ, we did even more damage. I wish I used it more. Oh well, easy boss, cool character, let's go. We have 1 boss left before the final dudes, so let's go knock out Mohg real quick. I'm using the fan favorites, Mohgwyn's Sacred Spear and Blood Boon Incantation. I popped Blood Boon at the start because this incantation will literally do nothing for us. From there we can just poke him, over and over. We have to deal with knee heal real quick, so I just popped a bunch of drinks like it's Friday night with the boys and we were chillin'. Later on I actually bled him, so that was confusing, but oh well. Not so much of a bloodlord when you're confronted with Elden Bilson, huh? I beat the big man first try, no joke, like actually, so I guess that gets me out of casual range. So... oh wait, I tried to give you a thumbs up, but I forgot I don't have a camera. We're at the home stretch now, yeah! And there's no better way to celebrate this than with a good old Godfrey fight. This man uses some pretty good weapons, the Axe of Godfrey and the Ash of War, or a Luz Earthshaker. Now, when I tell you this fight is easy, I mean this fight is hard, and I'm just coping. I'm sorry. I won't bore you with all the sadness I went through because I already did that with Fire Giant, so you guys get a pass this time. This fight started off with me trying out the axe, and yeah, I like the damage. I suck at dodging any of his attacks at all though, so that was a problem. I learned though, gotta keep that mentality, stay calm. Second phase started with the stupid volleyball attack, so that sucked, but I dodged the Earthshaker, so that was pretty cool. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that the Ash of War was impossible to get off. It took me like 5 tries. When I did it, we did no damage, but it somehow staggered him, so that was something. Anyway, I got the charge attack off and we killed this man, so nothing else stands between us and Radagon. Okay, so I have a lot of experience with this boss. I spent at least 4 days fighting him on my first playthrough, so yeah, this was a joke. Before we get into the boss though, I need to tell you my weapon strategy. I'm using Marika's Hammer for Radagon and a Sacred Relic Sword for Elden Beast. See what I did there? That's the most thinking I've done all day. But now, without further ado, I present to you the most beautiful fight you've ever seen. As you can see, I was able to stagger him and dodge like a straight up god, so that was fun. We took him down with ease, and it was time for Beastie Boy. As you can see, our damage wasn't great, but I just had to lock in, and it was absolutely way too easy. I went and touched the statue, and that was it. The run is over. My torture is complete. Remember, if you like runs like this, then subscribe, because summer break's coming up for me, and there's gonna be a lot more runs and streams like this over here, so stay tuned for that. Also, like 0.1% of you are subscribed. I mean, come on, that just makes me sad. I put like 30 to 40 hours into making these videos, so it's the least you could do. Anyway, thanks again for watching, and catch you later.